Welcome, boy. Welcome, everyone. What'd you just do, John?
I turned the wrong thing.
Did it record that wrong thing?
I touched it. I shouldn't have touched it.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Weekly Games Chat. I am peeking.
Yeah.
In a way.
I like a good
Oh,
peek.
it's because of There we go.
What does that
now
mean?
It's the headphones.
Yeah,
That's just
all it
volume
is.
on that. Yeah.
Hey, this isn't our first show.
All of our equipment, ladies and gentlemen, is crashing.
It is like almost 2 years old.
Yeah, and I don't think that's what it is. These things don't go bad. Right here? That I'm pointing at, the mixer?
Could be the mics.
They stay solid. The mics, they have no reason to go bad. You change wires, you change adapters. That's fine, but you don't start saying this tank right here.
True. It
Maybe we'll change hosts.
I mean,
What does that mean? Does that mean I'm out?
I'm not going to give you the satisfaction.
I quit. You can't fire me.
so am I the only one who went and saw John Wick this week?
Yes.
Wow.
I was sick.
Wow.
It all settled in my chesticles.
Ouch.
Yeah, you are, because I DJ'd 3 times in 3 days, which is fantastical. And also celebrated my wife.
Your wife.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, your wife.
She had a birthday. So
how
actually,
much?
she didn't have a birthday. I celebrated my wife coming home from leaving me
Your
for
wife.
a week when she went out of town on business. Wink.
So it was your wife's birthday.
No, it was the little one's birthday.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I fixed it. I'm
you
trying to
said
fix it right now.
celebrating my wife.
And then I
was-
said coming home from her business trip.
Yeah.
I went.
Yeah.
It's good.
I went Sunday to go see John Wick.
Yeah, you did.
And like I thought about sending the invite to you, and then I remembered.
What was
Like
going on?
I think someone told me like that, like who was talking to you about doing something. It might have been Jeff. Like where you guys had talked about something, and then like and then he said like, but he's got
A thing.
Tinley's birthday on.
I think
Sunday.
what we were talking to Jeff about, Jeff, friend of the show, he's got him a new toy.
Oh,
Yeah, he
man, it
does.
looks good, too.
Pretty.
And we were going to, at least I was trying to make it to where I could, ride.
He looks so good straddling it.
Let's just leave it there, huh?
I,
Ride, straddling it, looks good.
He let me ride it.
Did he really?
No.
Oh.
I wrapped my arms around his waist just to test it out a little.
I dream
nice. It
about
was nice.
letting me.
It was nice.
Very nice.
I dream every week about letting me ride it.
What?
Anyways, John Wick,
How was it?
solid.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, solid. That's a great trilogy
Yeah, apparently
of
so.
film.
And
And now apparently there's going to be a fourth one.
that's what I was going to say. Apparently, they don't care for the people who haven't watched it yet, because they're like, hey, there's going to be a fourth one. Does that mean John Wick lives? I don't know.
It's going to be really weird when John Wick is
When John Wick's not in it.
yeah,
John Wick 4.
starring
No.
Lance Reddick.
No John Wick.
Well, Aiden asked me again last weekend if he could see John Wick.
The first one?
Ah.
Yeah. Do you know why he now wants to see John Wick?
Oh, because of
Because
Fortnite.
it's in Fortnite.
I guess. How old is he?
13.
I mean, it's definitely of R-rated films. It's not the worst thing that
Look, I
a child could ever
saw
see.
Terminator when I was 10 years old.
Yeah,
But, all parents are different. Clarissa's just a little bit more strict with that stuff. So,
I mean,
there's some PG-13 stuff that,
Yeah.
she doesn't
Look,
let
there's
him
some-
watch
there's some-
because of the mature nature of what they discuss or what the content entails.
there are NBA stars. There are books. There are horses, and then there are Game of Thrones actors. There's everything in this movie.
Oh,
And then there's old Ian McShane.
I didn't know where he was going with it either.
I didn't either. Ian McShane's always solid.
I don't want to spoil any of it for you because you're just going to be like, that just happened.
Yeah, don't say another word.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
Let's just spoil Game of Thrones instead so we can talk about how bad it was.
I'm going to see it this weekend. My buddy Adam's in town for a while, so we're going to go see it.
I wasn't going to
But
ask you to go.
you are welcome to join us.
Well, I'm going to probably, in case we go out of town for the Memorial Day weekend, I'm going to try to go watch it one day after work.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other big thing this week, of course, we are in a world
Yeah,
now
the
where
Golden State win the 5 straight playoffs. I know.
I feel so
finals.
bad. So bad for Portland. So bad. Portland led that. I think they said led those games a combined
17,
80,
18, 17.
it was like 80% of the time.
Yeah. And then
They
when
were
it matters,
leading,
they did.
and, yeah.
Look, you're streaming last night like you do every Monday. We end up
So many issues.
and you had a fun, night. And as we're getting off of the stream and saying goodbye on Discord, Chris goes, well, I'm just going to go watch Golden State, and Portland looks like they're going to pull this one out. They're about like 15 or 11.
Yeah.
And then he goes, 10.
9. And I was like, here we go again.
So by the time I hang up with him, walk into my living room, I got me a bowl of Frosted Flakes. No milk. I just ate them dry, John.
They're great.
A little snack.
I love a good Frosted Flake.
Right? And I just watched it. I watch it happen.
Yeah.
The Golden State Warriors just do what they do. And then they're the 5 straight NBA Finals appearances. The last time that's been done was like the 60s with the Celtics.
So they captured the Iron Throne? Is that what you're saying?
Speaking of Alabama,
It's funny, though.
Nick Saban had hip surgery. I'm just rambling now because I don't want to talk about Game of Thrones.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Were you, unlike the Avengers movie or things of that nature, nobody seems to care about spoiling or subtly spoiling shows like that.
Yeah.
So, I take it you were not pleased,
I had no problem with that show.
Chris? Chris never has problems with endings of finales. He's
I-
always the
you know-
defender, because I think, and I kind of understand the perspective, it is, when it comes to shows like Lost or other popular, critically acclaimed shows, they're like video game movies. They're almost impossible to pull
Yeah.
off.
They are.
Seinfeld's finale, crap. I mean,
Yeah.
just complete crap.
Well, sitcoms are the hardest.
Sitcoms, but television shows in general are just hard to
Yeah.
just bottle up everybody's expectations into a 1 hour, 2 hour show.
It's a
and
lot easier
make
to-
everybody happy.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to take something like Lord of the Rings is a perfect fantasy trilogy. I don't think there'll ever be a movie. I mean, I hope to see another fantasy movie trilogy that does what they did, right?
Sure.
And like the advantage of them is that if you think about it, even though those are long movies, it's only 9 hours of your life that you're resolving.
He's already
maybe
yawning.
9 or 10 hours, and that's it. Like, put that in perspective where you're trying to resolve issues and everything that you've put up for 80 hours, 90 hours of television, right? That's a really hard thing to do. So I don't want to ever just rush to judgment. There are bad finales. Like Dexter's finale is terrible.
I disagree.
I mean,
Dexter's last season was
I disagree.
not that great.
I disagree.
just the idea
It was
that
entertaining. I just
Yeah.
didn't care for it that much.
I was like, it ended with a guy getting into a boat in the middle of a hurricane with a dead body after leaving his daughter with another serial killer, and then he ends up a lumberjack. And you're like,
Yeah.
how did that resolve?
what else was he supposed to do?
You just described epicness. You got to see Dexter with a beard and an axe.
But I mean, that's just not what that show really is. But this show, I don't want to bash it, but it's really hard not to, just because.
Which one?
Game of Thrones.
Oh.
It's just that I like the actual. Why is this going down again?
Yeah. You just leave my mic
There.
alone, and you just mess with your mic, okay?
This is gonna be great.
You need a new wire.
I don't know if it's the wire.
It's the wire.
I don't know. It works fine when I use it on Mondays.
Head Bob. Hey, did it work fine this last Monday?
It wasn't. It was not this end. It was the computer doing that. But anyways, my disappointment it extends out really to the season, really the last 2 seasons, and it's just that you had this show that had a format in the way it handled things, especially big events, and they completely just deviated off of that for the sake of time. And it's like, it doesn't work well
I
because
disagree.
that's why people have liked the show. I don't think it's like spoilery at this point to talk about things from the first season, right? You have the events of the end of the first season, right? And then you have a whole episode just on the initial fallout. And then you have a whole season after that of the effects of that fallout and everything that goes on with Ned Stark's death, right? It completely transforms a kingdom. You have similar things here going on in this final episode. And instead of that, it is resolved in 30 minutes later. and you don't get any context to any of the things that go on as far as why people are doing the things they are doing now and why they're agreeing to things. It's just done for the sake of, well, it's time to wrap this up. And, you know, while I think like when I read the books, whenever those books, hopefully they ever come to light, I will be totally fine with it because, you know, much like Stephen King writing a novel, George R. R. Martin will take the time necessary to flesh out every little detail. So
he will write that book as soon as every chicken wing on the planet is consumed.
His stupid sailor hat. How's he wearing a captain's hat with his stupid beard?
And it's like, I don't think it's terrible.
What does RR stand for? What exactly?
Really, Richard?
Road rash.
Road rash.
I mean, I just, it sucks, and it sucks because it is well acted and it still has great dialogue, and there are shots in that finale too that are beautiful cinematically. Like I do not think it's a garbage thing. It's just like, you're just like, well, I guess that will work and I'll just move on and I'll be content. And it sucks.
I'll just say I liked it.
What'd you like about it?
That was really insightful.
No, we don't need. I'm just not ready to open that up.
You don't need to validate it to anybody.
No, it is what it is, and we can either like it or don't like it. Yeah. I do think that the ridiculousness of fans putting a petition together to reshoot a season completely. I think. How can I say this?
It's almost like a bunch of
spoiled brats,
Star Wars fans,
people booing in a theater at a convention they go to because that game is on mobile.
I don't know.
It's not the same. No. It's not the same.
It's not. Yeah, that kind of thing. Like, look,
it's not the same, John.
There are people that go too far with criticism. Like, there's one thing to criticize something as a piece of work and giving an honest opinion. There's another thing to just like,
I demand that it not exist anymore, and you change it.
You know,
retcon. Is that right? Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think most people.
More you know.
I don't think like the majority of. I don't think the majority of fans of the Star Wars universe are a fan of the prequel movies, right? In comparison to the original trilogy. But to act like they don't exist, or like that, like now that Disney maybe should go back and remake them, that would be such a slap in the face.
But in fairness, the Star Wars fandom created that kind of mentality.
It did definitely.
You're right. That's why I brought them up just a minute ago, guys.
Yeah. And you guys are
bringing it
worst
back.
Of all with your Last Jedi
bringing
stuff.
It back. I've started watching, and this I've known of his existence. It just got so little attention. At least it seemed it got so little attention. It was an AMC show called Turn.
Yes. Yeah. Revolutionary War.
Yeah, it's about Washington spies.
We talked about that one week you were out of town.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
It's fantastic.
I've been watching it on Netflix. I'm on its second season, and I'm surprised how much I like it.
That's cool.
I'm really
well, you like that kind of stuff.
I like that kind of stuff, but I don't know. I associate. It didn't get a lot of attention, and I think but for a show that didn't have a lot of attention, it lasted 4 seasons.
Nice.
So,
nice.
I recommend that to anybody who likes American Revolution and history.
Hey, congrats to the American Idol winner, huh?
Yeah.
All I know is I learned today that he or she was from Louisiana, I think. Is that right?
A lot of times they are from the South.
What does that mean? It's anecdotal.
It's like statistically, if you watch all these reality singing shows, most of them come from either Central South of part of America, like Texas, Oklahoma, and all that, or else they come from the Southeast. And it's just because mainly the viewership is predominantly from those regions. You know, most people on the West Coast, I guess they're just not watching as much, or maybe up in the Northeast. I'm sure there are plenty, right? But like people,
because they're all celebrities already, they're all famous.
But it's been something that someone has noted that before, like that when you have shows where the public gets to vote on it, generally those from those regions tend to have a little bit of a bump.
I have a childhood friend who's going to be competing on MasterChef.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Now, I don't know that he's competing on the actual televised version, but he's definitely been invited to make it to that make it to that level. So
Wouldn't that be awesome?
So you might get
would
to see a
love
child.
that. I love MasterChef, actually. I particularly like MasterChef Junior.
I was going to say that too. It's nice.
Very good show. Me and my family watch it.
I feel like it's a win-win for you because either you get to see your friend succeed and you know, have all these successes, or
Succeed and have all these successes.
Yeah, or you get to watch Gordon Ramsay rip him a new one.
Oh,
which
I would hate that.
It'll happen anyway.
No, dude, if I was ever good enough to be on one of these shows and Gordon Ramsay tore me a new one, I might be upset in the moment, but definitely by the time the show airs, I would just be like, I just got tore a new one by Gordon Ramsay. Who doesn't want that in their career?
Would you like some antibiotic ointment? No, thank you. I want this infection to fester.
Right.
So are you watching the current MasterChef Junior?
No, I don't watch it. I don't watch it like from week to week. I watch it when it comes to Hulu, which is week to week.
So have you seen the one with Chef Aaron Sanchez where they had to make is it called the tapas? Where they had to make like 5 dishes that are part of the appetizer. When you get to that one, there's a kid that cries.
Aw.
Tell me if you laugh or not.
The one that was impressed me the most on that show was the
What's the judge? Who's the judge?
I think he's of Mexican descent. He's got tattoos all over himself.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen those seasons yet.
That's the current season.
I like
but Hulu goes back a few.
That's it.
Who was the one? The girl who was blind on the show. I thought she was always the most impressive I ever saw.
How'd you know? How do you know?
Because she's got a walking stick. And,
oh, that's impressive.
Yeah. But like impressive. And she said like she believes that the fact that no, it's from like regular MasterChef, and like she would do all these Asian fusion dishes, and they would just for someone who can't see, like she'd have the most beautiful presentation of food.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways, so we had John Wick, MasterChef, and Game of Thrones bashing. That seems like a good point to pivot.
After we talk about Aladdin.
Oh, yeah. That's coming this week. Reviews drop tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited for that one.
Are we going together? Probably not, huh?
A whole new
I'll
world.
probably go Thursday night since I'm going out of town.
Take a ride on your magic carpet ride.
You don't know that you're going out of town yet.
I'm probably going out. I don't know.
I can show you the world, shining, shimmering.
Okay, shut down. No, we haven't got those rights.
Tell me, princess.
Disney.
Who
Tell
crapped their
me,
pants?
Shawnee.
Somebody crapped their pants right now.
Penny?
That's terrible.
Well, no. I did you mean today? I mean,
No,
I've
like
got
right
one,
now.
No, I've got one sitting.
It's
been there a while.
You prairie dogging over there.
Oh man.
You want prairie dog to the topic?
That's amazing. I've never thought I'd hear you say that. Yes.
All right, let's prairie dog to the topic.
Topic time.
The topic is Rage 2.
It's Rage 2, you listeners.
Rage.
Thank you for listening to this.
I think that gets the tone down, though, right?
The topic for today is Rage 2.
We got a nice little independent,
we'll be talking
lighthearted
about
game called Rage 2.
High octane,
It's got a combat shotgun.
High octane adrenaline rush of a video game.
Just NPR this whole entire
Prismatic
conversation.
color palette.
Rage 2, the follow-up sequel that no one was, I think, ever expecting to get a follow-up sequel to.
I wanted
id.
it bad.
Did you play the first one?
What about Rage 2, John?
I remember I played it. Ryan got it when we were living together. Ryan got it.
And he showed me on the PC. It looked really tight
Yeah.
on the PC.
And I borrowed it.
See, PC Sean.
No. I need you to say it looked really tight again for me.
It looked really tight on the PC. Like, really tight.
Yeah.
Like, quality.
Top notch.
So,
Tight.
so even though I think no one who really plays this game is playing necessarily for the plot,
Right.
The idea is that this is Earth after an asteroid hit it, and of course now I think it's like 100-something years in the future from that event, and all these arcs have opened up that were containing humans who were put into cryostasis and such. But apparently some were put in there woke up sooner than others, and they are evil, and they're called the Authority.
I don't know why, but when you said cryostasis and such, I thought of like a breakfast at Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
Well,
Like the first game is like
the first protagonist woke up early too. I think.
Yeah.
I thought he'd woken up from
he had a battle with the Authority person, and then like at the end of the game, it's him waking up or activating all the remaining arcs out there, and that's where your guy is coming out of now. So he apparently came out of that, and there was society, and
So
we
have this villainous group. What do we want to call them?
the Authority.
How about the Authority?
Yeah.
Genius.
It's terrible.
Genius.
And honestly, after the opening scenes and all that,
Yeah.
whenever there's been a cutscene in this game, I just like put the controller down, and that's when I check my phone because it's
terrible.
It's not that. It's just that it's basic, and it's just kind of it's there as a plot. It's there to move you to the next thing.
Surely there's one character in the game you can't remove your eyes from.
Oh, you're talking about the doctor?
Yes.
Yeah, that was probably the one time this doctor is like a Frankenstein doctor that you're talking to, and he's riding a mutant who's like big, and like whenever he talks, the mutant's mouth talks too. And then like, so he's got these big strong arms that are like kind of walking him around.
The
as he's
mutant is
riding on the
basically
back.
his legs. That's
Yeah.
his wheelchair or whatever you want to call
So
it.
it's doing that, but then if you're looking closely, he's got smaller, regular human-sized arms in the middle that just hang there. And you're like, what the hell?
You just can't look away. It is just...
Can
yeah.
I see the mutant?
Yeah,
scientist?
if Chris can pull it up.
I mean, why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he have
wouldn't
the
he
game?
do that?
Remember in the old days when we
We
would
used to
have a
watch
topic?
footage of it, and it helped.
it would
It helped get the juices flowing.
Yeah, of the show. And
My juices don't flow.
if one of us had not played said game,
I'm dry as dust.
You'd be like, "Hey, look at that thing that looks." Y'all talk about that
Yeah.
that I just saw.
We'll see it and we go, "Oh yeah,
That,
I
good
forgot about
point.
that.
Double cross bug.
Yeah, that thing right there. Look at that
Oh
thing.
my goodness! What is that?
Let's see if I can find one. Yeah, see how it's got the like little arms
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
Then big mutant arms.
It's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, like everyone is very much a caricature or something. Like you have three main people that you're reporting to the game. So he's the crazy scientist. You have kind of like the old cowboy bartender guy. That's John Marshall's his name. And then you have
Yeah.
you have this woman who's kind of like the smart, like she's she's a Ripley.
politician. She's a government leader.
She reminds me a lot of the captain just by the way she looks like. She looks like the captain from Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah, you basically have the warrior, old warrior, the politician, and the scientist.
Yes.
And those three pretty much guide your main storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Chris said as far as storyline goes, and he's hinted on this show, right now, he's not really in it for that. He's in it for like basically the shooting and having fun looting stuff.
Yeah, not even so much the looting,
but not in a Borderlands kind of way. You know what I mean?
It's the best way I can describe this game is that I said to John this morning, this is a really good zone out game. Like if you're not doing the main story missions and you don't really want to at least try to listen, you can just get in your car and start driving around, start looking for question marks. And you know what you're probably going to get 90% of the time. Even though there's like a little bit of differences, you're going to hop out and there's going to be people to shoot. And you just run around and you shoot them as much as you can and try to use your powers and abilities. And I have to say, when you're doing that in this game feels great. It's amazing. It's exciting. Like, especially some of the harder, like horde areas or, the bases where they're higher ranked, like you really, really start to really find yourself being challenged to use everything you have in your arsenal. But it survives, because it's id, and things like the combat shotgun, the assault rifle, the smart RPG launcher, coupled with these new things for id, which are these power abilities, they all work really well together, and they feel like they have weight, and they're just an enjoyment, right? I think that's the best way to describe it.
You're saying they have girth, Chris?
They have major girth.
No, you're not going to find a better shooter in video games this year until hopefully Doom Eternal comes out later. This is just
Halo 5.
This is the and it's not the Far Cry shooter, which is an excellent shooter. This is the arcade shooter. It's like if you're tired of like the Far Cry formula per se, this really changes it up with an open world that has the mechanics of Doom. I mean, the opening gameplay is almost like something that was left on the cutting room floor from Doom. Even the bodysuit that you get a hold of almost has the visual look with just changes of color of it, the visual look of the Doom Marine.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I mean, the game is wacky. Chris alluded the fact that the story is pretty much bare bones. It's basically about this faction of cybernetic organisms called the Authority, headed by a guy that wants to pretty much change everybody in the wasteland to
be that.
And that's it. That's pretty much it. And that's and quite honestly, that's really all you need, in my opinion, for this. It is one of the features on it that I would love an update to this to be able to, because I got it on Xbox One X. I assume Chris did too. I've seen him playing. I think I've seen him playing it on it.
Yes.
There's no 4K.
No.
It is a 1080p 60 frame per second game, which is fine. But I would love to see how this game looks in 4K.
Because it looks good now.
I think it looks beautiful, in my personal opinion.
Well, because you got that smooth, buttery 60 frames per second.
Fair enough. Now, where the game engine really starts to show its problems is with some shadowing. There's some problems with shadowing. If you're not a main character in the game, you don't look good, and your voice. Your mouth movements don't match your voice. Everybody pretty much looks the exact same. So it's like they really cut corners on how NPCs look in the world. I mean, from a distance, they look fine. You go up to their face, and it's this real fuzzy looking cookie cutter face that looks that it looks like on everybody in the world.
It looks like something out of a 2010 Xbox game.
Yeah, that's fairly accurate.
I mean,
but when you're driving
disrespect.
around, when you're driving around that world, the game is for a 1080p, in my opinion. And I've heard criticism on how the game looks. The game's stunning, in my opinion.
It definitely, its lighting in sunset and sunrise is pretty nice.
Yeah.
I don't know about other parts. Yeah, it is weird. For the most part, it is solid in terms of maintaining its frame rate. I did have one instance where it really chugged down a good bit, and that was surprising, but there was a lot of people on screen, to be fair, when that happened.
Okay.
It's only happened once, so I don't know. But yeah, there are a lot of like secondary little things that you just see in these kind of what I would call AA titles. Like there's a lot of texture pop-ins. There are times where you're walking around these towns and like people just literally they'll pop in like they're just there. I had one, I got ticked off last night because I had an enemy. It was like a level 7 base, which is not easy. I think at this point, like, and I cleared out and there's only one person left. He apparently was spawned beneath the map, so I couldn't kill him.
You just couldn't get him. Okay.
No. And like
it's
things
glitchy
like,
at times, yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
like there's things like that where you just kind of have to accept, hey, not much you can do about it. You just leave and then you come back.
So let's, Sean, the structure of the game is like your home base at the beginning of the game gets pretty much destroyed by the Authority. And so you're tasked with going out into the world to reach out to contacts that your faction made over the course of, 30 or 40 years. And that includes John Marshall, who was an old ranger, which is what you are in the game. You're known as a ranger. Was an old ranger in the game, a politician whose name I forget, and a doctor, a scientist. And each of those characters have their own...
Trying to think of the character's name.
Yeah. It's like...
Starts with an L.
Yeah, it does start with an L.
Yeah.
Starts with an L.
So each of these characters, they're immediately set up on the map where you know where they are. So you can go in any order you want. You basically go to visit each of them, and they give you missions that over time help you get closer and closer to defeating the authority. Along that line, they are tied to a tier, a skill tree where each one kind of allows you certain types of abilities that you can upgrade as you go. When you do more things for them, when you do things that are color coded to their character, they give you
project points,
but they're called reputation points with them.
Oh yeah.
Your reputation with them, they trust you more, and you're able to upgrade abilities like using your skill power to see through walls, see through rooms, just sort of passive skills and active skills, just a combination of skill trees along three characters have different skill trees for.
My suggestion to anyone who plays this game, once you get done with the tutorial, which really isn't that good, that's probably actually the worst part of the game. This game does not open that well, in my opinion. Outside the
John's looking at you funny.
Outside the few parts where you're having combat experiences, those are fine. But it's a lot of talking in the first 30 minutes, and you're just like,
yeah. But at the same, you're right about that. But at the same time, it puts you in the open world immediately.
After that, you're in there. But I would tell you, after you get past that, you'll notice that they each have a mission starting out. Just go do those missions first, get those out of the way, because that's going to unlock all of your upgrade trees, and then from there on out, it's kind of just go do what you want. You could do the main story stuff, because it's not, even though I haven't been able to finish it this week because of work, there's a lot of stuff you could easily get this game done very quickly as far as its main story, and then do whatever you want to afterwards. But I think it's better just to go out there, and after you do these initial missions, just start driving around the world, and you'll start finding these arcs, which are going to give you new weapons and new abilities. You're going to, get these camps where you're going to get plenty of crafting supplies and money. And the good thing, especially coming off of something like Days Gone, where it was a very slow drip of upgrading your character for a very long time to do that. Like this, you can pretty much, if you're hitting all the key things, getting the chest and all that, you can start upgrading everything very quickly to a point where after a couple of hours, you feel BA. You truly feel like you have seen progress, and that you got to decide the way you wanted to, what you wanted to focus on, what you wanted to upgrade. And there's really no wrong route, I would say, in going this, other than making sure you have the shotgun, because the shotgun is the best part of this game. Is maybe one of my favorite guns I've ever played.
I was going to say, you brought it up 3 times now.
That shotgun,
shotgun's good.
No one makes it.
Oh, yeah.
They're,
particularly when you're in overdrive mode, and it pretty much
Okay.
It evaporates people.
Let's back up a little bit. And what the heck is overdrive
exactly
mode?
See, there's a lot of and this is a plus and a minus to the game. There's a lot of, I talk about upgrading skill trees based on the characters. There's a lot of upgradable things in this game.
Yes.
You upgrade your weapons. When you upgrade your weapon to a higher tier, you can unlock modifications for that tier. You upgrade it to another tier, you can and modifications can be, a bigger clip, faster rate of fire, and it advances as you go. But each ranger suit has this ability, and I mean, he's a ranger. I mean, you have this ability where you have consistent kills without being hit. It goes into sort of an overdrive mode, and you activate the overdrive mode and you turn into a murdering beast. I mean, every shotgun assault rifle that you have maximizes its kill rate. I mean, seriously, taking the shotgun in overdrive mode and watching someone melt under your shotgun is one of the most awesome, satisfying things that you can do. And while you're doing that, you're killing rapidly and you're getting health regain. So it's like Doom in the sense of, in a lot of shooters, you have to be a little bit more tactical, but the key to survival in this type of shooter is running into the fight.
Yes.
And just killing everybody. I mean, there's go ahead,
it's like, you can go from like the one I was doing last night, where again it was like level 7 enemies, and they have armor, right? So with the shotgun has 2 modes to it. It has like one where it does this kind of concussive blast shot to blow away their armor, and then you actually have the main shotgun shot that does damage on them. Doing it to a level 7 enemy takes many shots of concussive hits before they're finally away enough to get a kill shot with the regular shotgun. On the other hand, once you have overdrive, it's one shot. It's just they get mowed down.
Why is overdrive not called rage?
One would
question.
wonder.
You would think that would fit, right?
I don't remember enough about Rage 1
Yeah.
to really understand how if it was just the name of a game. I mean, essentially your overdrive mode and these abilities that you have, you are kind of in a rage mode.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's just how you justify it. But, I mean, you unlock things that you unlock your power abilities. I mean, he mentioned the arcs a couple of times.
Yeah.
The arcs are in theory what all these rangers survived in. And you basically go around the world looking for these arcs to unlock shatter powers or weapons, depending on what the arc was. Like there was an arc that gave you access to a shotgun.
Yes.
Or a missile gun.
There's like
That's my missile gun.
there's like a missile launcher. There's shotgun. There's one ability that allows you what he called shatter, where basically if like a person's like 5 feet in front of you, right, you hold up your arm and you'll rush towards them and do this huge blast out of your hand and just completely
Iron Man?
make them explode.
It's like it's a concussive blast. It knocks
Yeah.
their armor away and it knocks them out of the way. And then there's
their
one where you
head will go off.
you can leap into the air
Slam.
and slam the ground and just disperse everybody.
And you can upgrade these more. Like that slam one, at first I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is okay. Then I upgraded it, and it whenever you jump up, it forms a little mini black hole beneath you. So it's pulling everyone in, and it just wrecks them.
Yeah.
It's like
it
instant
turns you.
kills.
This game turns you into a god. I mean, it does.
Well, that's good. That's kind of what you want in a game called Rage.
That's what I want.
And I think like for the most part, that's good. Where it's kind of a little bit more iffy gameplay wise is really just the other side of this, where they partnered up this time with Avalanche, the guys who did Mad Max, and they did, of course, Just Cause is their big series. And they partnered up with them for more so the open world and driving around it, traversing it. I think that is okay, but to be honest, I've never been a huge fan of anything Avalanche has done driving wise. Like in all the, like I never drive in Just Cause. I will glide. I will take a plane. I will not get in a car. I will get in a tank if it's required for a mission, but that's about it. Yeah. And I do not, I've yet to find a vehicle in this game that feels great to me.
Okay. Well, you're wrong.
Is that fair?
100% wrong. No. For me, the driving has been fine. I mean, I guess I wouldn't call it Forza for sure.
Yeah. I wouldn't even call it like GTA or, you know, any of these games that have open world driving combat in them.
You know the hardest thing I ever drove in a game? The first time I got in a Warthog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still have to readjust
Now
to that
imagine
every time
you-
I play those games.
Imagine if
They
you
don't-
did that for very long distances consistently.
Yeah, I couldn't
No,
do that.
it is not the same. That is not the same. Your brain does not function the way the Warthog wants
just goes,
wants to operate. It doesn't.
yeah.
Your brain doesn't work that way.
I guess it's not Far Cry. That's a good way to say it.
Far Cry vehicles suck. If
I
you
like
ask me.
Far Cry vehicles.
Isn't that funny? You
Well,
like
I mean,
Rage and
it's
he
a
likes
first.
Far Cry.
It's a
huh?
first person perspective in a vehicle. I don't want to drive a
Yeah.
first person vehicle. This one is the third person. You get the visual of the car.
Yeah.
And this might be Chris's issue. There's an issue that if you're not careful, it can be difficult to make turns.
Especially
But you have to. It's a car in a real world where you got to lay off the gas and you got to make the turn.
no, the thing I figured out with
he was
that,
a terrible driver.
You just do
true.
no, the only way to really effectively turn well is to use the handbrake and just kind of slide, which is fine.
Yeah.
You get some areas where it's a little bit better to drive than others, but the one that really broke me was, have you gotten the wind motorcycle yet and tried to drive that? That's awful.
Oh, I had a blast with that.
You can't turn. Like you literally, it's a motorcycle that cannot turn. and it makes no sense. I was like, this tank turns better than this bike, and I was like,
You just got to let up on the gas, baby. That's all you got to do.
I don't want to do that.
You'll
with
turn.
Mars. I want to hit a
You'll get
hand
there.
brake. But it's just like, there hasn't been a vehicle yet from driving perspective that I've been like, oh, it's more of like the combat that you can do with it, which is all right. But to me, it wasn't anything memorable. And honestly, what I learned real quick was you can just pretty much blow past any enemy you see on the road.
Yeah.
Like they just kind of they're not a factor to you. You know, like there's no thing that's driving you.
Yeah, to me, an open world. If you give me an open world that is beautifully and aesthetically pleasing, with a little bit to do, I'm good. But you know, there's this thing, and to me, I'm not going to call it lazy, even though I'm going to call it lazy. There's a lazy, easy, low-hanging fruit criticism about open worlds in that they're empty. But you know, you play Far Cry 5, and you're trying to go after this cult leader, and you ask yourself, why am I fishing? I have better things to do. You know, the idea of going from point A to point B with 10 things in between, that's what people are kind of looking at or looking for when you're talking about an open world that really just embraces the open world. To me, you give me an interesting place to look and see and some things to do. I don't really have that much demand for an open world. The driving to me is fun, getting from point A to point B, which is a good thing because the fast travel's not so great, Sean.
Yeah, fast travel.
There's few and far between, like little points here and there that you can go to.
You can go to trade towns, and the only caveat is that you have to be in your vehicle when you fast travel.
Yeah,
That's all right.
Yeah, and I started using it whenever I've cleared a region. Then I use the fast travel to go where I want.
One thing that's very important to me that I haven't really heard you guys talk about is how music ties into a game. Does it have like Doom had the heavy metal rah rah rah?
It does that. Like it's much more low key when you're in just the open world.
Yeah.
But the moment you engage in combat, it kicks it up
kicks
to
up.
that hard rock. You know, that
So
metal
it works.
yeah. Is it metal? I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it's
haven't really
metal.
paid attention to the music.
Yeah.
Oddly,
As I said, I think in the end, is this something that I think is like the most memorable first-person shooter I've ever played? No. Is it the most memorable open-world game I've ever played? No.
Is it trying to be though?
No, it's not.
Right.
It's like what it does well. It does very well, which is, its combat. Its combat is, it is great at shooters. There's just no other way to deny that. It's definitely nowhere near their best work, right?
Avalanche's best work.
Or it's
I mean, I don't know.
either one. I mean, take your pick of a company. I think Just Cause is a better game than this, and I think
I guess.
I think that of course, Doom or things like that. That would be their best work, right? And that's fine. But as I said, it's just a really good game. Like yesterday, I could have a conversation with you and Josh and just not think about what I was doing.
Yeah, you actually held a conversation, I would say, pretty well considering you were playing a game.
Yes, an arcade game, right? Where
Yeah.
it's not that hard to die if you're not paying attention. You just maintain being still, but everything feels good. So you're just like, okay, switch this gun. Oh no, there's a big enemy. Well, hold on. Pull out the old RPG. All right. And I'm running, I'm dodging. Oh no, there's ads coming in here. Okay, let me do a slam ability. Bam. You just don't think about it. You just start clicking.
Does John know what ads is?
I blacked out, I think.
You just start doing these things. You don't think about it, and it's fine. And I think for a game like that is, like I said, not game of the year or anything for me, but it's definitely not a bad game.
Yeah. You had fun.
Yeah.
I think you've had fun.
Yeah, I think if this is
I had a freaking blast.
if you like my thing would be if you're a person who loves first person shooters, this is definitely a title that when it goes on sale, if you
say that about every game.
No, like someone went like I would say buy this before even Days Gone. Like I would gladly support this game before Days Gone because I think what it does well, it executes very fast. The only I think kicker for some people is going to be that some people, when they buy an open world game, they want something they can get lost in for a long time. Like they might not want a story that drags on forever, but they want to know, like God of War, right? God of War most people are going to beat it in about 20 to 30 hours. But if you wanted to, and especially once they add New Game Plus, you could go 60 hours, 70 hours. You could go as far as you wanted to in that game.
Yeah.
This game, from my understanding, most people, the main story is 8 to 12 hours. If you're just doing that. And then, like, if you do the whole map, it's about 20 hours to maybe 25 tops. Some people might have a problem paying $60 for something like that for an open world game. I personally don't if I'm having fun, but I definitely would say if that's your problem, then just wait for it to go on sale, and you'll probably feel like you got a bang for your buck.
I think it needs to be a bit. It's a counter of what Games Chris says. Wait till it goes on sale, because that would make me happy to see those statistics.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys have had fun, and I kind of wish I would have played it, to be honest, but I didn't want to.
Well, you don't like video games.
I know. I detest them. I don't like opening them.
You definitely don't like open world games.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's your open world playthrough of Days Gone going?
I traded it in.
Really?
I didn't trade it in. I just wanted to say that.
Yep.
Hey, I think it's great. You guys did fantastic today.
Yay!
I think it's time for some Richards. Huh?
I'm just gonna go with the score that's on my
On your
on my vape right now.
Oh, 75.0?
Yeah, 7.5. I think it's a good game.
Okay.
Yeah, I go a little bit higher with an 8. I think it's a great game. Yeah, I don't honestly know what critics were expecting, and maybe that's the problem. Maybe they didn't know what was expecting. One of the most repetitive things I've read a lot of reviews on this, trying to validate my love of the game. But one of the things I'm hearing repeatedly, and I hear this in video game reviews all the time, it's like somebody's plagiarizing the other and nobody knows what the source was. The common comment, the comment of, it doesn't know what it wants to be.
Yeah, like, what does that mean?
It doesn't. I mean, what are you saying when you say you don't know what it wants to be? I think it's clear this game knows exactly what it is, and it's not pretentious. I mean, Days Gone. I mean, it's an interesting contrast between Days Gone a couple of weeks ago and now, which both games I like, but one game tries to do everything it can to take itself so seriously, and nobody likes it. This one refuses to take itself seriously, and I don't think the critics knew it. I feel like the critics were like, why is it like this? And it's like, to me, the developers were like, you're thinking too much. Just play the game and blow stuff up. And if you want a game to play that is top-notch shooter, and you just blow stuff up, this is your game. It's just that simple.
I don't know. I guess, like, when I look at
your review,
when I look at, like, even from Bethesda, right, like the last couple of years, you could argue the best thing they've actually done is first-person shooters. And I would argue that, like, compare this to, say, playing Wolfenstein or Doom. Like, those are better games. They're just way better games in terms of, like, full package delivery. Those games know what they wanted to be. And they didn't, like, I don't know.
John's looking at you.
It's really weird to me. Like to me, I guess when I hear that kind of comment, I'm like,
but no, according to people who talk about Wolfenstein, the new Colossus, it didn't know what it wanted to be, because it wanted to step away from the Nazi issue. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there's a couple of things going on here that may or may not have to do with it. One of the things is Bethesda's not in a very good state right now. Yeah. Particularly with Fallout 76 and what's gone on with there. There could be, watch your mouth. There could be some residual blowback from that. Recently, a week prior to this game's release, Bethesda on Twitter, I think, called out Paul Tassi from Forbes, saying who are you? I'm like, you're nobody, kind of thing. So kind of, there was a narrative out there going like Bethesda's attacking journalists. So I don't know. I mean, could there be some blowback from that? Maybe. I don't know. But I think this game is fundamentally better than the sum of its criticism.
I think it's a good game, and that's fine. You know, there's nothing like I said,
I'm okay with that, James.
Yeah, I'm not like stepping back and going like in the pantheon of first-person games, this will be the one I remember.
No,
I mean, even like
no.
this year, like when I think of like Borderlands 3 is coming, and I understand that's a loot shooter, it's also a first-person shooter, right?
Dude.
And if you want to talk about driving vehicles, wait till you play that game. Because those vehicles, Borderlands, the vehicles in those games are
fun.
And yeah, doing combat with your friends in those games is so fun.
It's fun. Line of the day so far. What it does well.
It does well.
It does well.
No, what it does well, it does very well.
Yeah. It's like what?
See, I'm saying it doesn't just do it well. It does it very well.
And this is a nice
Very
alternative
so.
to the Far Cry formula. It's that open world shooter, but just it throws. It's like a fruit basket turnover. It gives you a little bit of a different approach to it.
Like a pineapple upside down cake.
Exactly like that, Sean. Why didn't I just say that?
I don't know, because those are delicious, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, check it out. It's out there.
Wow, dude.
Maybe
It's out there,
it's
check
out
it
there.
out.
but it does well.
It does well.
very well.
Check it out. Maybe not right away, unless you're
Right away, do it.
Unless you're someone who apparently agrees with John a lot. Otherwise, just wait and.
Not everybody's as cheap as
Yeah.
you, dude.
Well, I'd actually tell people because, but the one thing I've noticed, Bethesda seems to, if you have an Xbox, it might be worth waiting because Xbox and Bethesda seem to have a deal going on with
They got a
Game
thing.
Pass. Like everything that they've had in recent memory has come to Game Pass. So I would tell you, unless you were just someone who is diehard, if you have Game Pass, just wait
I
and
still
it'll
think,
be there
I
and
think-
you'll enjoy it.
I still think we should only review games on Game Pass.
Take
Weekly
that,
Game
God
Pass.
of War.
You're like, you know what? Yeah, that's right. We
Yeah.
know God of War, right?
We don't care about Horizon
I
Zero
really
Dawn
hate
2.
when I hate when you weed out my theories and stuff.
Stab.
How's Horizon Zero Dawn going?
Oh, see, they brought that up on Discord yesterday.
Did they?
Yeah.
Good lads.
They mentioned, no, because I was like, I don't know when that's going to happen. And they mentioned you in a show and me in that game and what would happen first. And I was waiting to do a thing because you were having to do a thing. And I'm being
what would
very
happen
cryptic.
first? Me and Got and
Yeah.
you and okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
how's Red Dead Redemption going? 1 or 2?
There's absolutely no need.
That game's terrible.
I don't need that game.
I don't either.
I respect the heck out of that
yeah,
game.
you know what
but
it does.
I don't need that game.
What it does well, John?
It does amazingly well.
I spent 150 hours in my open world last
Yeah.
year, and that was Assassin's Creed.
Oh, not that zombie game that you made Ryan Leaf buy.
I'm sorry.
That's this year, hopefully.
I just like games that highlight the brilliance of the American West because I'm an American. Let's go to news.
All right.
Hot off the press and straight to your ears. Weekly Games Chat presents the news.
You're supposed to say news from the future.
No,
That's that email.
that's the emails, electronic mail from the future.
Oh,
He knew
yeah.
that.
Tighten up, dude. I can't with you.
Man,
Hold on.
the clear resolution on these notes.
Oh, and he ruined it.
Rent it.
Whoa.
Rent it.
What was that?
We're gonna be able to see that, huh? You or me?
I made it old man size.
I don't
for you.
remember. But I will tell you this. I'm not really worried about pivots and segues.
Let's just talk.
Yes.
All right. The Last of Us Part 2. First news article of the week, ladies and gentlemen. While new information sheds little light on release dates, Naughty Dog has indicated that they are hiring new talent to help close out the development of
That's a quote.
The Last of Us Part 2. Recently posted by co-director Anthony Newman on Twitter, he wrote, quote, "Lot of awesome positions open to help us close out this game.
God, you read slow.
I especially want to highlight the melee animator position. Who doesn't, right?
Right?
End quote.
Chase off fight! Chase off fight!
As in, please help us.
Please. The positions highlighted are animators, programmers, game designers, lighting and visual effects artists, and more.
Everything.
The positions opened up on May 10th. While no release date is set, it is clear that they are in the final stretches.
Although,
Is it
Sean,
clear?
if I were developing a brand new game,
Yeah.
like to get started, I'd hire all those positions. So, I don't really understand how far along they
How is
are.
Last of Us Part 2 not already like about to be here?
Because
I saw it
Well,
never
last
mind.
June and they were kissing and stuff.
When was Uncharted 4? Was that 2016? or 2015. I think it's 2016. So 3 years from there. So if you think they're a bigger studio, they have the right to take their time. It wouldn't surprise me that you would see this.
But you're missing what I'm saying, man. PlayStation showed us at last E3 that this game was done. It was ready.
That's what they said. They say it's done. It's ready.
Look, she's kissing and dancing, and she's ready.
Yeah, they made them move to a different auditorium.
Oh, you mean that pretentious log cabin of a show they did?
It was pretentious.
Everyone move here, then we're going to take a 20-minute break while we move them back.
Kind of awesome.
Was it?
Because nobody else does that, and that's why I like it. Maybe it was pretentious, and it's okay to like pretentious things sometimes, John.
The word of the week.
Yeah, the word of forever.
Speaking of pretentious.
We're not doing that.
What?
We're not doing pivots. We're just going to be ballers and say the things as we see them, Chris.
I'm opening up Excel as we speak.
AAA releases from Ubisoft. Ubisoft has announced 3, Sean. 3.
Not 2. Not
AAA
1.
titles and are scheduled for release
You
between
didn't say that
now
right.
and
You
March 2020. That's because I wrote it wrong. One of those titles is obviously Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Revealed during Ubisoft's financial earnings report, the company's 2019-2020 financial targets are net bookings of around $2.4 billion will be led by Ghost Recon and 3 other titles that are currently unknown. In that briefing, it was announced that Skull and Bones is not included in this list of games and is set to release after March 2020.
So let's see.
Chris, you gotta believe that maybe
No, I will not. I will not believe it now until they have broken my heart too many times.
you get a Splinter Cell.
No, because they're doing
Sorry, you don't go on Twitter and joke like that.
no.
That was Ubisoft covering themselves.
I think
Splinter Cell's on the way.
if Ghost Recon's one of them, I'm gonna bet one of them is Far Cry 6.
You think
Going. Well, I mean, just the way they've normally been doing it the last couple of years, right? Like it's been they always release one in like about February or March, and last year, so you had the expansion.
Far Cry Primal 2.
So now it sounds like okay, you've done this, so probably VGAs this year, or maybe who knows? Maybe they tease it up at E3. They go, okay, here's Far Cry 6, and
Okay.
it's coming.
Well, that's nice.
The third one. Prince of Persia game?
Maybe Mario plus Rabbids.
An open world? Did they? Oh, they just said
No,
AAA.
AAA.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely not
You call
Beyond
it
Good and
AAA.
Evil 2. It's not going to be that.
It's not going to be that, yeah.
No. So,
Now, Ubisoft right now, a couple of years ago, it was definitely Bethesda, but Ubisoft right now is probably my favorite publisher right now.
they know what they do.
They're just good. They got it together.
Speaking of things that got together,
We can't acknowledge that pivot, Chris.
We won't do it.
We won't do it. So we refresh. We hit the reset button and we go, hey guys, new Super Mario Maker 2. That's how we do it, Chris. A Nintendo Direct last week, which I missed completely. Boo me. Revealed key details on its upcoming building platformer. The game will feature a brand new story mode and a co-op creation mode that will allow 2 players to build levels together.
2 players!
2 chains. The game will also include online multiplayer with up to 4 players as Mario, Luigi, Toad, and Toadette. There will also be a multiplayer versus mode pitting 4 players against each other on randomly selected courses and will encourage players to get better as a versus rating will keep track of your wins and your losses.
We call that Get Good.
Yeah, get good. Level creators will have many more tools, including the addition of slopes, Angry Sun, Snake Block, on-off switch, lava and water level settings, and much more. The moon will also be added to the tools, and hitting it will destroy all enemies on the screen.
Nice.
I'm excited for Mario Maker 2.
Yes.
I think it's going to be dope.
And the single-player campaign kind of seems like it has a new twist to it. I kind of like the originality of it. Instead of saving Princess Peach, you're actually building her castle up.
John really needs to work on that, doesn't he?
Speaking of shocking twists,
What happened, man?
You not liking Princess Peach?
why do you hate Princess Peach?
We've been aware of this for a couple of episodes.
Because she really
now.
just doesn't know how to take care of herself.
She was OP in Super Mario Bros. too.
Yeah, you know me.
Oh, boy.
What happened?
A cloud partnership happened. I had to. I'm sorry. So, in a shocking and perhaps landmark event, Sony and Microsoft announced a partnership to focus on improving cloud gaming, AI solutions, and more.
That's not Owl Solutions?
Old Al Solutions.
The two companies signed a memorandum of understanding that establishes both companies will explore, quote, joint development of future cloud solutions in Microsoft Azure to support their respective game and content streaming services. The partnership will also explore collaboration with semiconductors and AI. The intent is to integrate Sony's image sensors and Microsoft's Azure AI tech across cloud and edge and leverage Sony's semiconductors and Microsoft's cloud technology. This announcement shows a signal that the two gaming giants are taking emerging competition from Google Stadia quite seriously.
I think we need to, like, us three need to sign a memorandum of understanding.
I like that. I saw that today. I was like, I don't think I've ever heard of something like this. A memorandum of understanding.
Yeah, this apparently threw Sony's first-party studios for a loop. Like, they said like they
had no idea.
Yeah. But if
in fairness, it was Sony Corporation that did the deal, not necessarily Sony Interactive Entertainment.
If you're Sony, it makes sense because honestly,
it makes sense.
It makes sense because you are a company that first and foremost you're about hardware. And you know, while they've definitely dabbled in the cloud atmosphere, the truth is that there are three companies that really are pushing it and have the resources to easily push it.
And Sony's not one.
And Amazon, it's Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. If you're Google, obviously you're not going to cede anything because you're trying to be the most powerful company. And I think the same goes for Amazon. I'm sure if Amazon was to enter in a partnership, they would probably want it to be like, well, then we are going to be part of the PlayStation part. Microsoft, on the other hand, you know, while definitely they care about Xbox, as we've seen the way they're growing, they just want what's good for their company. So if they can bring in another major player, which is going to provide them a ton of revenue through these services, why not? Right?
Top-notch analysis, Chris.
Yeah.
Top-notch.
Yeah. Should we read that one and then them two?
Huh?
Well, they're both Sony related.
Well, that's sales, and that has to do with that kind of, but it's cool.
Hello, analysis.
God of War sales passed 10 million. Since its launch in April 2018, Sony Santa Monica's God of War has surpassed the coveted 10 million sold mark. The news was revealed by Sony Interactive Entertainment president and CEO Jim Ryan during a recent presentation. This number joins a select few to include Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, The Last of Us Remastered, and the greatest game ever, Horizon Zero Dawn. Congratulations to Cory Barlog and the rest of the team at Santa Monica for this accomplishment.
I just want to point out that John never wrote a congratulations to Rockstar for selling 27 million in less than a year.
Well, you have to respect them to congratulate them.
Yeah.
Face.
Yeah. I love a good face.
You know what they're doing? They're doing Gus Van Sant and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where they're like just over there and they're like, hey, Gus, can you direct a scene? And they're just going, I'm busy, because they're just counting money because they make lots of money.
Say the next thing. Let's just move on.
That's what they do.
Sony acknowledges next-gen challenges. Jack Trenton, who I'd love to have a beer with.
You drink beer?
Former CEO of I'd love to watch him drink a beer. Former CEO of PlayStation US believes that Sony is in a good position for the next generation, but will have significant challenges. There will be exponentially more competition than during the PS4's lifespan. He went on to discuss the hardware for PS5. Quote, from what I've read about the specs of PlayStation 5, it sounds impressive. Their business model obviously worked well for them the last time around, and it doesn't look like they're going to deviate from that. They'll be well positioned, but I do think they'll face exponentially more competition than they did the last time around. Microsoft should give them a better run for their money, and Stadia is a new wrinkle in the market that didn't exist in 2013. Nintendo was more relevant this time around. It's going to be a much more competitive market. There are new players, but they've learned some valuable lessons in this generation. It should be great for everyone in the business, whether you're a developer or a gamer. It's going to keep everyone on their toes. I've sort of always maintained that PlayStation did not, and I don't mean this the way people might interpret. They didn't really earn their position to be the head of this generation.
Really?
No, they didn't.
I don't know how that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because when you have the Wii U that stumbled on its face for obvious reasons, and when you have Microsoft stumbling on its face for obvious reasons, PlayStation was in a position where they didn't have to really beat the competition. The competition beat themselves. This was not a neck and neck race the way the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 fought along 8 years of 8 years of that generation, that war, with PlayStation 3 finally outselling the Xbox 360. But
Xbox sold 3 times as many in the US.
Yeah, we know that's not relevant.
Yeah, but that's like saying, like, let's say Golden State.
I want you to.
Okay, you finish. Go ahead.
Just keep in mind, I prefaced it with not wanting to make it sound like the way it might be interpreted. I'm not saying that Sony just sort of lobbed something out there. They had the right message, but they had the right message, and they were the only one talking. So it's sort of easy when they're the ones that were kind of given the bullhorn this generation, and they just took the bullhorn and used it, because everybody else just pretty much fell flat on their face.
But they didn't intend to fall flat.
I mean, they could have easily gone in front of their own development.
Look, I still contend to this day that Microsoft's idea for this generation was the better idea. It's the better console. In my opinion, it is the better console, except for Kinect.
Yeah.
What Phil Spencer has done with the Xbox and with their philosophy on gaming has been the better philosophy this generation.
For sure.
It's just that Sony got too far ahead that nobody was able to catch up to them.
Yeah.
They became the conversation. Now, they took advantage. That's capitalism. Good for them. But their tone deafness on Fortnite and crossplay, their tone deafness on bringing really mediocre E3 presentations and barely showing up this year. I mean, there's a lot of things that the PlayStation has a history of doing when they're on the top of the heap, and they do some really mind-boggling stuff. And they've done mind-boggling stuff this generation, being on the top of the heap.
Well, so the same's true though for Microsoft, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's to
they
look
still
where
had to compete with their competition. They had to compete with the Wii, and they had to compete with the PlayStation 3.
Sure, but I think the difference is that
all of them sold at least 80 million units.
I think like the big thing that's different, like how a console acts when it's won and it's in the late throes of a generation doesn't really point to just how well they did early on. That's the right you get when you dominate an era. So Xbox comes out last time and they dominated PS3 out the gate. You know, they had a year head start, and they sold their console. And when PlayStation came out, it was a dud as far as PS3, and they took advantage of that for many years. And it was only through a lot of great initiatives from PlayStation and the fact that their brand was so strong worldwide, in comparison to Microsoft, that they were able to catch up towards the end, right? But that doesn't take away from the fact that Microsoft read the tea leaves right. Here, Microsoft didn't read the tea leaves right versus PlayStation, and PlayStation did. PlayStation said, okay, we are not going to do all these crazy things that Microsoft is doing. We're going to focus on a great console that developers want to develop for, and we're going to make it affordable as hell. And, you know, we're going to push this thing. And that's what they've done this generation.
But you do acknowledge that they did not have to compete with the equally successful Wii.
Sure.
Nintendo
but
did
they
not.
now are competing
Nintendo
with the Switch, and they're still doing fine.
Now they are.
Yeah.
Now they are.
I mean, you can't control your competitors. I think, though, they is clear that of all three companies, they've been the most stable for the last, 6 years. There's just no question about that. They've delivered that. Now, yeah, the question is, will they fall into the same trap that we see everyone make once they get power?
Let's try this. Let's unpack this. Are you suggesting that PlayStation 4 would be every bit as successful today had Microsoft and Nintendo been on point with their messaging and on point with their products?
No, but the same.
That's my point, simply.
But the same thing can be said last generation with Xbox. If Xbox had came out, if Sony had,
then what are we disagreeing about?
If Sony had come out last generation and not fumbled, Microsoft would have never had a shot last generation. And the same was here, but that's saying I don't want to ever take away from a company when they get that kind of success, just because it's like, look, just because you were the ones who did have the right plan, none of your competitors did, that's on them. That's not on you. You did exactly what you needed to do. And the question now is, can you do it again? That's the hard part, right? Can you capture lightning again and hold on to this thing?
So you just said it. You just said it. Captured lightning. That's the essence of my argument. They were able to, moments before an E3 presentation, rewrite the script. I mean, Jack Tritton's all but talked about this. Mm-hmm. The moment they heard the Microsoft press conference, they said, let's harness and focus on the messaging that they didn't focus on. They had a virtually different E3 press conference moments before they went on stage.
Yeah.
And they chose to highlight, and you were even upset about it, that they just sort of took pot shots at Xbox because of their failure to, I would say they understood the market, but they didn't really translate the market to the consumer very well. Microsoft.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
and that's all really, and to me, I'm just reiterating what Jack Tritton's saying right here. He's saying, now you have Nintendo. You did not have Nintendo when you launched PlayStation 4. It was non-existent.
Maybe, yeah.
Everybody had pretty much said, you guys are done.
But is there, like, I don't know. I guess I kind of just like go, yeah, it's going to be risky. I think they're the ones that, as long as they come out there, it seems like this next generation, they do what they're supposed to. I would imagine they're going to keep most of their users. And they should be the default favorite for next generation. Would you agree, Sean?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to try to make an analogy like when a team in sports, so what, they win the year that their rival or their nemesis didn't make the playoffs and they didn't have to play them. They're still the champion.
Yeah. Does anyone care if Golden State wins this year?
LeBron's out. That's what I was going to say. Even though it's going to be kind of weak because LeBron's in the Lakers and they suck. But in general, it's like, who cares? You're still the champ.
Yeah.
I don't care that you suck for that time. Get good.
I don't care that the East has been disappointing in the NBA the last 10 years.
Good John.
Yeah, it's still Golden State is still a great team. And like I'd say, what Sony accomplished here was still great and impressive.
I honestly don't know what the disagreement is. We all sit around, not me because I'm not a sports fan, but you guys talk about sports in general, saying, yeah, but this person's better. No, this person's better. Yeah, but this guy, this guy had more innings he had to pitch, and this guy
never said that.
It's an analogy of the way we talk and rationalize who was better than who. And all I'm saying is, PlayStation had a significant advantage and were gift wrapped the generation. They might have won it, even if none of that had happened. But you have to admit at least that it was gift wrapped to them.
I can't admit that.
Nah, because
and I love you for it.
To me, it's just not an advantage that someone screws up. I mean, like that's
the definition of an advantage.
That's the
literal definition.
Because Xbox had the same market they had. They came out within weeks of each other. It's just one was systematically ran better than the other one.
Which is the advantage.
No, that's just a strategy. That's the strategy.
Oh my goodness!
Having bad organization.
Okay, let me say let's use this in a sentence. Fellow board members at Sony, their bad strategy has created an advantage for our company. There you go.
Great. I guess I would go like Sean. We were watching this before, and this is the best way to describe it. The Lakers are right now a really bad ran organization.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Golden State is not.
Right.
That does not mean though that like it's an advantage that was that if the Laker was better well ran, that it would still take away from the fact that Golden State is a great organization. Right. That's what I'm trying to say. Like I think PlayStation is just a great ran organization at the time of the end of last generation going into the next one. I don't think it really mattered what Xbox did. They were going to be fine, or Nintendo and Microsoft could have both been solid, and maybe it would have been a little bit more even, sure, coming out the gate, but I think they still would have sold a ton
sold
of
90 million.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
you really believe that?
Yeah, because they've done it before. They did, with the last two consoles.
And if you look at what he's saying Microsoft should give them a better run for their money. They tried to give them a run for their money last time and they failed. Stadia is a new wrinkle in the market.
Creating an advantage.
No, Stadia is a new wrinkle in the market. There's always wrinkles in the market, maybe not one as big as Stadia.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can kind of agree on is that Nintendo they fell flat The Wii U sucked to most people. I loved it. And, okay, whatever.
So Sony completely earned their success.
Yes.
100% from beginning to end.
They did everything they needed to do to do that. Yes.
Yes. If they hadn't, they wouldn't have earned it.
So
People
you
would just
disagree with me and Jack Trenton.
Yes.
Okay. Now we know.
Jack Trenton's not saying what you're saying.
He is saying exactly what I'm
Your
saying.
interpretation of what Jack Trenton is saying is slightly different than what Jack Trenton is saying.
I think if they had dropped the ball themselves, Microsoft probably would have just won the generation by default.
Yeah.
Because they already had the people.
Oh my God.
So
I'm gonna
Microsoft had the people.
We got the two.
Yeah, that's
Even
what I'm
you would have to admit that.
After what I read
They took 'em
next,
back.
the next two news articles are possibly the best.
Do you want me
titled.
to?
No. The Division 2 did not meet sales. The Division 2, despite being the best-selling game for March, did not meet Ubisoft's commercial expectations on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Sales are in line with Division 1 sales for PC. Quote, the Division 2 ended up short of our ambitious expectations on console. We believe this was due in large part to a more competitive market than expected. End quote. Ubisoft expects the game to, quote, grow and gain traction over time with new content releases. Ubisoft never indicated what those sales expectations were.
1 billion.
They were ambitious is what they were. And they probably thought they had the greatest game of all time. I mean, it's doing well. People still are playing it.
Well, everyone always wants to take, like, when a new game does great out the bat as, like, oh, it's proof that it's a hit. Yeah, whatever. You know, they would, people want to parlay that that's going to be long-term success and that it's a successful franchise and everything like that. And the truth is that was not what the Division was. I have to think whatever their expectations were, maybe they were just wrong, right? Just flat out wrong. And no matter, even if they had had a great game beforehand, there was no way that they were going to meet this. Which if that's the case, then they need to go fire the people that run the numbers for them. But if not, I think it's just continued proof of what we see over time, which is that I think it's the next game that suffers when you have a bad game or a game that does not hold up over time. And Sean, as much as we had fun with the original Division, by a month and a half, we'd all abandoned it.
And I haven't played this Division recently, but I like it. I like the game. It's fun. I even talked about John Rambo today.
Yeah.
And for those of you who've watched this on Twitch on our Monday night, you know who John Rambo is and how awesome that character is.
See, the best-selling title for Ubisoft, I think, is Far Cry 5 of all time, but I don't even know what that number is.
True.
Like how many? I don't know how many they sold, so I don't know. I don't know how many they were definitely expecting, but I don't know how much Apex ties into this, Fortnite ties into this. Maybe Anthem got in the way a little bit. I mean, it did sell. It was the best-selling game for February, so there was a possibility there. But was it Square Enix for the Tomb Raider reboot? I think they wanted that game. Their projection was for that game to sell like 10 million copies, and they called it a failure because it sold 4. So crazy.
Yes.
It is crazy.
Yes. Chris chimes in. Yes. So, trouble with your COD? According to a report in Kotaku, Activision has informed developers at Sledgehammer Games and Raven that they will not be in charge of the Call of Duty game scheduled for 2020. Treyarch, who developed Black Ops 4 in 2018, will be taking over and leading development on a new Black Ops game for next year. It is rumored that much of this is due to tensions between Raven and Sledgehammer, and Raven is the team that does support work for all the studios. Treyarch will now be operating on a 2-year development cycle for its games. The game is rumored to have a Cold War setting, and Treyarch will be utilizing work previously done on a single-player story mode for the campaign.
Nice.
I kind of think I want my Richard Satchel to be called Raven and Sledgehammer.
I'm still not over Chaos Bane.
But yeah, that's him. And then he's got old Raven and Sledgehammer down there.
The satchel. I got you. Okay. The berries. I hear you.
Yeah, this will be interesting. They've been on this cycle for.
Yeah, this is
it's been a while.
This is big news if you're into Call of Duty. The fact that they're going to release another Black Ops game that fast is big news. The fact that Treyarch is going to be basically taking over is big news. But that all means, I think if you play Call of Duty, that's good. You generally like the things that Treyarch puts out. There's
But they have less time to do it.
Yeah.
But what when they pull out?
Silence, because we tried to pivot. We can't pivot.
Not today. But never fear, folks. I believe that the quote-unquote rumored Modern Warfare is still headed to consoles in 2019.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So, Sean,
never pull out?
Is that you?
Yeah.
Huh? Do it.
The Epic Game Store had its mega epic sale, but has run into some problems with 2 games being pulled off the store. The sale is offering some major discounts and offering $10 off games, $14.99 or higher. That means they're like $4.99. That's amazing. Epic has disclosed that it is paying for portions of those discounts to game companies. Unfortunately, Vampire the Masquerade and Oxygen Not included are 2 titles that have been taken off. Wait, let me say that again. Are 2 titles that have been taken off the store due to not wanting to participate in this sale.
I want to say their Borderlands 3 halted their pre-sales during the sale too. They said
I like a good pre-sale.
They said like if you bought it on PC during that sale beforehand, then fine, they're going to honor it. But like I want to say I saw that yesterday where they were suspending sales.
So tell me about this. With Steam, you get games for pennies on the dollar. Why the reaction like this?
Well, I mean, why they had to do this?
It just seems that this is another chapter in the drama of the Epic's Game Store.
Well, I mean,
okay,
there's a big. I mean, imagine this. Like, usually they highlight games, right, that have been out for a little bit, and they drop them drastically during those periods during a Steam sale.
Kind of like should wait for Rage 2 and
read that sentence there.
Yeah,
they're saying any game that is $14.99 or higher. So if you're a $15 game, doesn't matter if you came out the day before the sale started, it's now $5.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it did indicate, and I don't know to what extent that Epic was covering the cost that would technically be lost to a studio. I don't know what percentage of that, but.
Yeah, that's interesting too. But
I assume Steam doesn't do that.
No, they do not.
Okay.
So
from a business sense, it doesn't make sense to offer a sale.
Well, if you're trying to build out your, if you're trying,
it up, baby, hock it up.
If you're trying to build out, I think I'll pivot off of what Sean I think was trying to say. If you're trying to get people to come over to your platform, it does make sense for you to do this, right? Because you're saying we will take the hit up front because we are going to have sales on things that are competitors, because there's still a bunch of things that are on the Epic Game Store that are not on or that are also still on Steam. So having that ability to do that for brand new things, like Total War just came out here, and I don't know if Total War 3 is on both Steam and Epic, but if you think about it, and you can buy that game for $40 instead of $50 right now, where are you going to go buy it?
Where are you going to go buy it?
Yeah, and that's, I can understand why it would tick off some people, but I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I do know this.
That's not what I was going to say.
Did that lung butter come up okay?
Oh my God, that came out of nowhere, bro.
Man.
What also came out?
I mean, like literally just breathing and that happened.
You know what also?
Gotta love allergies.
What also came out of nowhere?
Let's just not let him do this, okay?
You're supposed to just say,
yeah, just do it. Let it be.
Can I do it?
No.
Okay.
Finally this week.
Penny again.
Finally this week.
I can't even do it. I'm out of the mood.
Oh.
I'm out.
Oh.
I cannot smell that and be in the mood, Chris.
Orgasm. So,
God.
Riot walkout update. So, Riot Games has announced that it will not be eliminating the arbitration clause for current employees that moved some 200 to 250 employees to stage a walkout. In a blog post, Riot Games announced that, quote, given the complexities of ongoing litigation, we will not change our employee agreements while in active litigation. We know not everyone agrees with this decision. But we also know everyone does not, sorry, but we also know everyone does want Riot to continue to improve. We remain committed to having a firm answer around extending an opt-out to all rioters, which is funny because rioters refers to the name of the employees at the company, team members, when active litigation concludes. In response to this, the organizers released their statement, quote, "We're disappointed leadership doesn't seem to be considering any major changes to their active policy. Our main goal is to make sure that workers at Riot feel heard and represented, and above all, safe."
Yeah.
End quote.
Cool.
Just an update because
Yeah.
we've talked about it.
You weren't here last week, though.
Yeah.
It was 2 weeks ago.
No, yeah, that was something else last week.
I know when I'm here.
I can't even remember what
I don't
it
know
was
why
now.
I'm using this voice.
Out of nowhere, right?
Out of nowhere.
I think that's us. You should only
guess,
do the podcast.
Riot walkout update.
I guess it'll be interesting to see what comes next.
That's what she said.
Right? You guys want to wrap this up?
Never.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny because John's completely caught off guard right now. Don't go hard in the mic, John.
Yeah, don't do it, John.
Only got one email this week, but it's a long one.
It's a good one.
It's a doozy from an old friend. If you want to write your thoughts and opinions, you can do
Thoughts
so.
and prayers.
You can do so by writing us at weeklygameschat@gmail.com. That's weeklygameschat@gmail.com, just like longtime writer Ever did. He says, "Hey guys,
What's up, Ever?
it's y'all's boy Ever back. Sorry for the long letter, but I haven't written in a few weeks, so I got a bit to say. And I've got to, that was too much of a zoom. Okay. There we go. Yeah. Just wanted to write in and celebrate the return of Weekly Sports Chat Basketball Edition. John, take more sick days off so we can talk more sports. That's funny.
That is funny.
You
don't let us talk about sports when you're here.
That is not true.
You're always
categorically.
You're always like, we just fill a podcast about video games.
Don't remotely care for Pokemon, but I decided to watch Detective Pikachu mostly because of Ryan Reynolds. Who wouldn't?
He's dreamy.
Enjoyed the movie, although it did feel a little bit like a kid's movie for the most part. Was expecting a more PG-13 kind of movie, but I guess Pokemon knows their audience better than me, so I can see why it was more PG. But I still enjoyed the movie, even though I didn't know 99% of the Pokemon names that appeared on screen, and if they ever decide to make another one in this style, they'd have my money. Decided to write in mostly because of Days Gone. I was playing the game and really enjoying it. It's definitely top 10, maybe top 5 for the first 25-ish hours in. Then the next 10 hours, I started noticing occasional frame rate issues, not a big deal, longer loading issues at the start of the game, and just little stuff like that as I was nearing the end of the game. Still top game for me. Then it happened. Towards the end of the game, whenever I tried to manually save, the game would force my PS4 Pro to do a hard crash, and it would corrupt my current save file.
Oh, dear jeez.
The autosave feature still works, so that saved me hours upon hours of work, but it was still a tough issue to deal with because I never had a game do this to me. If that would have been it, I could have rushed through the game and finished it, but that was only the one of a 1-2 punch this game dealt me. Right after it corrupted my save files, my next story mission, I had to defeat a horde at the sawmill. I know which one you're talking about. I fast traveled there and the game gave me the red horde counter at the top of the screen. There's a red bar at the top of the screen that symbolizes how many freakers or zombies are in the horde, and each one you kill, the red bar gets smaller and smaller. It was nighttime, so I decided to sleep at a nearby bed to advance the game today.
Smart move.
Right? I did that, went to the sawmill and start the encounter, but there were no zombies anywhere. I ran around the entire area, shooting my gun, creating as much noise as I could, but no matter what I did, the zombies never spawned. I slept again to advance the time to night and tried again, but nope, no zombies. Slept again and advanced to the next day, but again, no zombies. After 35 plus hours in Days Gone, I got to a point where I couldn't advance the story anymore and I couldn't manually save the game because of corruption errors. I have not had a game drop so hard from a top 10 to most disappointing game of the year like this game. I quit the game, uninstalled it, and traded it for Rage 2. I guess my question after all this rambling is, have y'all ever had anything like this happen to you in a game before? I never had this happen before. I've had issues and problems with games, but never corrupting save files and glitch storied missions. Maybe during Black Friday, if the game is cheap enough, I can try playing it again to see if they've patched it enough for me to finish the game. But as of right now, I'm just done with Days Gone. Thanks for the laughs and game on. Game on ever.
Game on ever. Thanks for the email. The only time I've really had a game destroy like my attempt to try to play it, where I literally had to trade in PlayStations, was on the most recent Call of Duty, which is crazy.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
But other than that, I've never. You guys are not making me want to progress in this game. Like,
yeah,
it
seriously.
gets less stable as you go further.
Why?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
I don't know.
My wife,
Your wife
had a game-breaking crash on Diablo 3.
Oh, that was because of Chris.
Yeah, I think the corruption was called Chris. I've had games break on me. Ironically, they were both Nintendo games.
Oh,
one of them
it is a terrible company.
One of them was Twilight Princess. There's a certain
terrible
room.
game.
There's a certain room you go into. If you do it in a certain sequence, and you can never leave the room. And I think something similar to that with Metroid Other M. It corrupted, and I had to ship the save file into Nintendo to fix it.
That was just a story. The most notable, the most notable I ever had was the original Assassin's Creed, right? Because remember, it was like the way it went. It had chapters. Remember?
Yeah.
And I got to chapter 8, which was like the next to the last chapter of the game. And I would start to run to go face this big main villain. And every time I would do it, I get to a bridge and I would just fall through the world.
No kidding.
And like it took me like 35 attempts before finally I got through.
360?
Yes. Yeah. And I think Mikey heard me while I was playing that, and he just heard me screaming at my TV. I was like, why? Why would you make a game do this? But yeah, it's never fun when you get those kinds of things. And just kind of
bummer too.
I feel bad for him.
Did you finish this game?
I have not. I put it down and I said, I am taking a break.
Did you trade it in for Rage?
Remember, I get all my games digitally.
I know, that was a joke, Chris. Jesus.
You didn't know that. Sean, people hit us up on Twitter. What did they write?
From time to time, the best one this week is from Joseph Ellison _ because the underscore's at the end of Joseph Ellison. At Weekly Games Chat, gaming while using a self-driving car. Good idea, bad idea, LOL. So that was a retweet he did, or a mention. Tesla, the car, has a gigantic screen in it.
Yeah, it does. So pretty.
And there's a video of a guy or gal, and it basically says, when I was in elementary school, I spent all my quarters playing asteroids. Now, thanks to @Tesla and @Elon Musk, I can enjoy it. I can enjoy it again every time I pick up my kids from school or work. And yeah, it looks like they have a Microsoft Xbox controller, and they're playing asteroids on their Tesla screen. It's pretty amazing. Which I replied, what did I say?
I hope the car was in park.
No, I didn't say that, Chris. That would have been not funny. I said something. I basically said we know a guy. We might need to see how that works because we have a friend in real life,
Old Game Boy,
IRL, that has a Tesla, and we can see how that works. But it was real funny because at the person that the tweet came from, I actually said you can't play the games unless the car is parked. Kind of like you can't add some phones like Bluetooth to cars until they're parked, which is funny. And then Joseph replied to that person and to us and said maybe we'll see some Tesla exclusives revealed at the next E3, which is pretty funny.
Galga is coming.
I don't think we have any new followers, which is fine. We have a ton of you guys, but we still like to see new folks around, and if you want to continue the interaction.
Kick your brother off the couch.
Yeah.
And make him go follow us.
Chris is about to tell you all the ways to reach us again in case you forgot or in case you're new to this show. But thank you guys. That's all I got this week.
Okay. If you like the show, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, write us at weeklygameschat@gmail.com. This has been episode 205 of Weekly Games Chat. Make sure you subscribe to whatever podcast service you got this episode from, and you will get a new one every Wednesday, including Memorial Day week. We debated it hard, but it's happening.
Did we confirm it? Did he just confirm it for us, John?
John was all like, and we were like, okay.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitch every Monday night. Chris, at least Chris usually gets on and plays the game.
Yeah.
And
I might actually stream Thursday during the day. Since I'm off.
You can.
I might do that
do
for folks
you want.
because I get one of our British dudes is, I think it's Ditch, is just like
One of our British dudes.
He's like, hey, could you all do a stream that's not like when it's 1 a.m. where I live?
Sure, bro. We got you.
I told him, I said if I could, I would. I might be able to.
Share?
John knows that one. But yeah, and also don't forget Discord, Chris.
Yeah, follow us on Discord. I believe there's a link pinned to the top of our Twitter page. If not, you can just open the Discord app, search Weekly Games Chat. You don't have to have any special permissions, I believe, to join. The only thing you might have to wait for is for one of us to realize you joined, and then we will designate you as a Richard.
Yeah, that's what we call you.
Yeah, you're all our Richards.
Little Richards, no?
Yeah. No, just Richard. I just do Richards for the title. Look good. Because they're Richards.
Are we big Richards?
We're
How about mediocre?
We're OG Richards.
Wait, what are we talking about?
Exactly.
I'm sorry I was gone last week.
It's okay. You couldn't help it. I'm glad you're feeling better.
I want you to know. I want you to know. I've enjoyed both of you immeasurably today.
Thank you.
Are you quitting the show, dude?
Yeah, this is it. It's like I quit the show and I made them do another episode next week.
Hey, did you hear us tell you that we hoped you felt better?
We said it.
You did?
I did. I listened to that episode.
Nice.
Did you feel a little bit better afterwards?
You only listen to it to see how much we bring you up in it.
It's true.
No, actually, there is a bit of a vanity there. I remember saying the week prior what could be interpreted as some inflammatory things.
So you were checking out.
So I was seeing if I got any hate mail. Honestly,
I would have told you.
Yeah,
I guess you would have.
Yeah, I guess you would have. I was like, John, sit down.
You did it again.
Yeah. I did bring you up on a Discord post though.
Yeah, you did.
For scoring. It was fun.
We don't want to talk about that here.
I saw a Discord post.
Congrats.
Without any context. It said leave the politics to John.
Oh, Jesus.
And I don't know what that was.
That's what I didn't want to bring up here, John.
That's not a big deal.
Then see me before the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't know what that was.
Regardless, I do want to say, if you have suggestions for the Discord, or just anything to do with us, drop them in there. We do check that out. Might not be right away, but like we had a big one come up this week and we gave our honest thoughts and opinions, thoughts and prayers. And you can go check out that post if you want to see what it is. But I think it's just proof. Like, look, we try to be as much of an open book as we can. But if any of you show up at our houses,
can you guys?
We live in Georgia.
Can one of you show me, teach me how to use
to Dougie?
Discord?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. First thing,
I don't think I really understand.
We'll build you
Discord.
a PC and then we'll go from there.
See, John, it's just a platform to communicate with each other.
Yeah,
really.
but when I see something that pops up on my phone, I never know how to trace it back to where it was.
You push.
Shut up. Let's wrap it up.
You summon your thoughts and prayers and it directs you.
Thoughts and prayers.
Until next time, guys, I will say Happy Memorial Day. Thank you for anyone that that gave the ultimate sacrifice for this country.
Remember that as you enjoy your 3-day weekend.
Exactly. That's what I always think of this weekend. And hey, we're only like a couple weeks away from E3.
That's true. That's a big thing, huh?
It's coming.
It used to be.
Now it's just Xbox 3.
Now it's like, okay, what are we going to say that Xbox is going to do
Yeah.
at E3? That's
And
funny.
check
Yes,
out.
it's funny.
That's funny.
That is funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I had a good time with that.
I enjoyed that. Immensely enjoyed it. Until next time, I will simply say game on, Sean.
Game on, Chris.
Game on, John.
Game on, Chrissy Poop. Game on, Shawnee Wani.
Game on, Johnny Bear.
Your mom's box.
Peace out, everybody.
Thug life.